Hey guys, it's SoFlo Josh, and over here at South Dade Kia to film this 2025 Kia K4 EX trim for y'all. With that being said, let's go ahead and get out to the exterior and let's talk about this all-new generation, which used to be called the Forte. Now it is renamed to K4. I want to give a huge shout out to South Dade Kia for allowing me to film this vehicle. If you guys are interested in purchasing any type of Kias at all, make sure to go ahead and contact Angel V. He'll be able to assist you in getting into a Kia. Now, just like I mentioned, right now the Forte is now the K4, as what the Optima is now the K5. So we now have a new naming scheme over here in the United States, which is quite honestly understandable. The K4 has always been named that over there in South Korea. Now they finally brought it over here as the naming scheme to the United States, which I honestly prefer. K4, then you have the K5, and if you were to live in South Korea, you can get the K8, which is what used to be the Cadenza over here in the United States. So let's go ahead and talk about the styling that they've done for this model. Now up here in the front, we do have a full LED headlights. Even on the base trim, we get full LED headlights, so there's no longer halogen headlights whatsoever, which is great. The Kia went ahead and did that. We got that iconic amber style DRL that swoops up to the top and then off to the side, just like every other Kia. And I really like this design. It's actually more aerodynamic design compared to that of what we see in the K5 over there, where it's more sharper. This is just flows better across the body lines on the side as well, so it gives you more of like an aerodynamic functionality. We got full LED headlights, like I was mentioning. Now these aren't projector headlights, but they are full LED, and then we also do have a high beam assist down there as well, so it's going to be really good. No fog lights whatsoever. The headlight system is basically so advanced now, especially in the United States, because there's so many regulations that you have to pass when it comes to these IIHS top safety pick and so on and so forth, that you have to have really crisp lights for these vehicles. And the good thing is that Kia is actually listening, and they're actually improving all in all. Over here we do have a nice grille with a silver finish to the top as well as the bottom for this EX trim, with a gloss black in the middle. These are functional vents, of course, because there is an internal combustion engine behind the vents. And then we got a Kia badge right there, finished in that nice dark black finish with a little bit of silver lining. Dropping it over here, we do have more air to flow into the engine as well, and then we have that safety sense function as well. Black plastic cladding on the top portion as well as the bottom portion of the front end. Kind of gives it more of like a front splitter design to it, and I quite like it. Now this isn't the GT line. The GT line will actually be coming out next year. So they started off with the base trim, and then the EX is kind of like the top trim right now, and then they'll come out of course with that GT line with the turbo and the non-turbo. Over here we do have 17-inch wheels with a two-tone effect. Now these are directional wheels. I know some people don't like them. I have some criticism to directional wheels, but at the end of the day they look really good. They're 17-inch wheels with a large amount of sidewall, which is perfect for daily driving on bumpy roads. And the reason why I say that is because the better the sidewall, the better it is to impact you know, driving dynamics when it comes to those bumps. It won't intrude too much into the cabin, or you won't feel it too much within the body of the vehicle at all. Really good design. Like I said, two-tone effect with that, you know, aluminum and the gloss black as well. Really like it. More black plastic cladding around the wheels, and then down over here on the side sill we do have a regular door handle up here in the front, but then we have a door handle here at the rear. So opening up the rear door is actually quite simple. You just pull on it and it opens up, and it's actually pretty wide, as you can see. Very wide entrance to get into the vehicle, but we'll talk more about the interior in just a second. Now as for body lines, from what I'm noticing, now this is a new color over here, which I believe is called Morning Haze, and it's actually a kind of like almost like a I want to say Nardo gray mixed with a little bit of green in it. Has a really nice hue to it. I also wanted to state the body lines look fantastic in this vehicle, like especially in the hood section. It looks very aggressive, in the LED lights in the front, but there's really no body line over here. It's kind of bubbly to the design of it, and I quite like it. Now there is a body line that kind of creates over here off to the rear, and it does connect to these rear LED tail lights as well. So let's talk about the rear end design. So we do have full LED tail lamps over here. They're not incandescent, no, nothing like that. Full LED tail lights. Now mind you, this vehicle is $25,000 and we have full LED tail lights, which is fantastic. The Honda Civic, for the price of what it is, you don't even get full LED headlights, tail lights at all within that vehicle. So just keep that in mind. They have a nice dynamic design to it, and it carries on over here to the rear hatch area or tailgate area. Speaking about the tailgate area, let's go ahead and open it up. As you see, it is not powered, which is quite typical for the price range and the category this vehicle is, but it offers a ton of space. As you can see, very wide opening, so that means you're able to fit luggages in here, or golf clubs if you do go golfing at all. We do have a lot of height to it as well, and then we got the pull handles to go ahead and release the rear seats as well. Down here we do have a spare tire, which I believe is more of a donut. It kind of looks like a spare tire, or like a larger spare tire, but it's not. It's just there's insulation down here to make it look like that. And then we have like the toolkit to go ahead and replace your tires as well. But all in all, I'm actually very impressed with the amount of space that you get back here in the trunk, which I think is actually a little bit better than what you find in the Civic. Down below we do have more black plastic cladding with your rear reflector lights right there. Down the center right here we have your reverse lights that are full LED, and they actually really light up the floor whenever you are reversing. So just because it's there in the bumper doesn't mean that it's not going to light up the section of where it's at. More of that silver finish as well at the back, and then we have the exhaust tips that are tucked underneath as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the interior really quick. Now, opening up the door, like I said, is very straightforward. You pull on that handle. I kind of like the way that they actually hidden it. Now, I know that some people didn't like the fact that we just have regular door handles right there, and then this one has the door handle here, which I kind of understand why people are saying it. Maybe they could have done something where they put it into this section, but at the end of the day, it's just a door handle. I mean, that's not the biggest thing you should be complaining about when it comes to a vehicle. Now, opening up the door, as you see, it opens very wide, so that means it's easier access to put a baby seat or get into the vehicle. Let's talk about the door panel area. We have hard plastic right here on the top door panel, soft padding right here with this cloth material. Now the interior is also green, so this is a new color for this K4, which looks really good. It's almost like a sage green design, but they don't really call it sage green. Very nice soft padding right here where your arm would actually sit. We have a window switch gear right here, and we have some place to put a bottle of water or some snacks in. Your speaker grill right there, door handle release, and it actually looks really good. Now let's go ahead and get into the rear seats to see how it feels back here. Now, at 6 foot tall, I have the seat position exactly where I would sit whatever I'm driving. Let's go ahead and close the door, and let's turn on these rear lights right here too. They're also LED rear lights, by the way, just letting you know. But sitting back here, I fit comfortably. My feet actually can fit very, very good underneath the seat. They aren't being crushed by the seat whatsoever. Now I have the seat at its lowest position. I always like to do that. That's how I drive, and personally there's no intrusion whatsoever. Now, depending on the shoes that you're wearing, of course it could intrude, but for me right now, they're actually very, very free. As you can see, very free, happy feet, you know. USB type C's back here at the rear to charge your outlets. Now, we don't have vents, which is something that I wish that we would see. There's a possibility that maybe the GT line will get the vents, but I'm not sure. I know that in Korea they do get the rear vents, which is a given. They always get all the stuff. And we also do have some cubby space to put some snacks, or maybe just put your phone in there and let it sit while it's charging. But all in all, really nice. Headroom wise, since this vehicle does taper off at the rear with a swoopy kind of design to it, I actually have a lot of headroom space. And honestly, I'm sitting up tall. Let me go ahead and sit fully tall. I have about probably 0.5 to 0.7 inches of headroom space, which is very impressive for a vehicle like this. And also, just letting you guys know, this is class leading when it comes to legroom space at the rear, which is quite impressive, especially competing against that of, like, you know, the Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla. This is actually the #1 when it comes to legroom space, all in all. Now, the one unfortunate thing is that we don't have a cup holder area to drop down over here. I kind of wish that we did, But I mean, we do have some sections right there. I'm sure that the GT line will have the cup holders here, but yeah, all in all, I'm very impressed with the overall rear legroom area. Now let me go ahead and drop down the seats at the rear so I could show you exactly how it looks with the seats folded down. So we're gonna go ahead and drop both of them, and as we do that, you do have to do everything through the trunk area, but there is a little bit of lip section right here, so not gonna be easy to fit things like a TV or anything like that. And also the way that it's cut out over here at the rear, not gonna be the easiest to put a TV all the way through, but you could try it out. Mind you, that is a lot of cargo space in the rear, and even though we got this little tunnel section right here, you probably can fit some stuff in there. Now let's go ahead and get into the front seat area. Now, the door panels are a little bit different. Of course, they're gonna have soft padding over here. If you're gonna be driving, you're probably gonna be resting your elbow right around here. That same cloth material. And we have soft padding as well for the grab handle to close the door. Window switch gears, and you have your door unlock and lock. Window is actually automatic to change the direction of it. Then we have more space in here. We got bottled water, and then we have like a mat pocket right there. Speaker grill. And then getting over here to the seats, they are manually adjusted. So even though this is the top trim, we do get manually adjusted seats as well. I believe you can get an option to get power seats, but from what I remember, these are the manually adjustable seats. Now getting into the interior, we have an all new dash design. Got a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster and a 12.3-inch touchscreen display. Now this actually has over-the-air updates, which is something that the previous generation, the Forte, actually lacked thereof. We didn't have over-the-air updates, but luckily this model does come with over-the-air updates, and it also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is fantastic to see. I know a lot of people like that. You can get the navigation on this vehicle, but of course that just depends on the trim level that you get. Steering wheel wise, we have this new flat bottom and flat top design to it. You have your active cruise control, your lane keeping assist, forward mitigation system, and everything like that is going to be over here. And then you have all your multimedia connect and your phone as well. Drive mode off to the side, which is very impressive that they actually put it over here. Typically a lot of car brands would put it down here by the shifter, but I quite like the fact that we have a drive mode button right there. And steering wheel wise, 9-3 grip feel really good. Now the GT line has a little bit different design. It has like more of like a 3-spoke. This is a 2-spoke design. The 3-spoke design is a little bit different, but it doesn't have a flat bottom steering wheel and a flat top steering wheel like this one, which is very strange because usually with the sportier trims you would see a flat top or flat bottom, or just a flat bottom. But nonetheless, I'm very impressed by the fact that we have a nice flat bottom and flat top steering wheel. You do have your adjustment over here for your brightness, for your instrument cluster, emergency parking brake, traction control off, and then we have the hood release, we have your trunk release, and we also do have your gas cap release as well. Interior wise, it feels really good. These seats, and I want to mention really quick, the back seats feel very comfortable as well, very plush. These feel very plush as well, especially for cloth seats. Now I have a Honda HR-V and those seats are just really rough. Getting into this car, it's super soft, which is very impressive. They are cloth, but they kind of feel like a different type of material, more like a recycled material, which I quite like, honestly. Dropping it over here to the center console, we do have your shifter. Putting into reverse, as you see, it is a wide lens camera system. You can change how it looks. You could do fisheye lens, or you could just do a down view of it, which is pretty nice that they give you the option. And of course you can change the rear camera guidelines and stuff like that. You can choose to have that or not. Now putting it into park, we have an auto hold button, we have your camera system. So if you do want to add your camera system while you're driving, just remember that after a certain amount of miles per hour, that camera system does go away. Start button right there instead of over here, which is actually pretty nice. It kind of reminds me of Saabs or Volvos, of the of the day, when they used to have this buttons right here, which I actually like the fact that we have that. We do have a wireless charging pad right over here, which is really nice. Wireless charging to go ahead and charge your phone, USB for your media control, and USB at the top just for charging. Then we have another USB, and we have a 12-volt right over here off to the front, which is very, very impressive. Love the fact that we have all these outlets right here instead of it being over here. Cup holder wise, we do have the push button area to adjust it, so if you have a big bottle you can actually fit it in here, or if you want to have like a smaller bottle you could fit it in here. So the bigger bottle would probably be better to put it in this rear section instead of putting it in the front section, but nonetheless, really love that Kia gives you the adjustability. Soft padding over here for the center armrest. Opening this up, there is no charging outlets whatsoever, but it is lined with felt. Feels good, feels very not as sturdy, but feels good. And we have this nice gray gloss finish to it as well, which is quite normal. We've seen that within other Kias. Nice vent design. We do have hotkeys for certain things, so if you were to go ahead and do maps, you would actually add your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto there. We have your home, search, and then you have your volume control right in the middle with your climate control function vents right here, or buttons I should say. You can actually control everything through here instead of it being embedded into the screen, or you can control everything through here as well, which is quite interesting. Now over here, glove compartment is it's a little bit heavy. It has a lot of stuff, so I can't really say if it's damped, but it kind of feels a little bit damp. It's not lined with felt whatsoever, so, and it does have halogen in the interior. Now the lights up here at the top are full LED, so that's going to be great whenever you're driving. You have your connective Kia system right there, and you have your dome lights to go ahead and turn on all the lights that are in the interior. Emergency call, and then we have your emergency lights as well. So let's go ahead and get underneath the hood and let's check out what's powering this new K4. Now, getting underneath the hood, we have a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that produces 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Now, all that power is sent through the front wheels only via a CVT, or what Kia calls it, the IVT transmission. This is the SmartStream gasoline engine, the dual overhead clamp, which is really good. And you could see you have everything there, so it's actually very easy to work on. Not a lot of engine cover, which I actually prefer, honestly. Now, let's go ahead and close it up over here. With that being said, let's go ahead and take this all new K4 out for a drive. All right, so now we're down here in the main level. Let me go ahead and put into drive. Very straightforward. And let's take this puppy out to South Dixie. Now, like I said, I'm very impressed with the overall design of the all-new K4. I've always liked the Forte, especially the hatchback version that we never got over here in the States, which is very unfortunate, especially for the previous generation. We never got that hatchback over here in the United States, and quite honestly, I really do like the design of this all-new K4. It's very sharp, very aggressive, which is something that a lot of other cars are kind of doing, this aggressive design language, but I think that Kia really nails the design of this vehicle. I mean, the Corolla looks good and everything like that, but the Corolla only looks good when it comes to the hatchback variant. It doesn't look good when it comes to the sedan variant, and since this vehicle is the sedan version, it is very aggressive straight from the start, instead of it being like the hatchback where it just looks aggressive. Now, there is a K4 coming out next year in the States that will be a hatchback version, so just keep that in mind. And I think there is going to be an electric version called the EV4 or something like that, where it's going to be a liftback design of what this vehicle is. So it's not going to have the same design language, but it's going to be a liftback version. But overall, the suspension feels very good, and actually I have to say it feels better than what we felt from the previous generation. The Forte had a little bit of a harsher suspension. It was an older chassis, especially compared to that of the Elantra, its sibling, which got an all-new generation. Now this generation is an all new generation, and it's actually got a new platform, and they improved the suspension front and rear. So I believe you can get you have a multi-link suspension at the rear, or an independent suspension at the rear, which is quite impressive. So let's go ahead and turn onto this road. We're going to put it into sport mode. So there's only 2 modes right now, normal and sport. I believe when the other, the GT line comes out with the turbocharged engine, there's going to be other modes. So let's go ahead and press on the gas. Yeah, it gets up and goes. It really does get up and go. And honestly, this doesn't feel like a CVT whatsoever. This actually feels more or less like your conventional automatic transmission, like an 8-speed automatic transmission. The shifts are actually very crisp, or it's the stimulated strips, or not stimulated, simulated shifts. And let's go ahead and test the brakes really quick. Yeah, really good braking system as well. Stops on a dime. And I know this vehicle is new, and of course depending on the wear and tear of a vehicle, but stops on a dime, and that's something that's very impressive. I feel that's one thing that some of its competition actually lacks, like the Corolla sedan and the hatchback. They don't feel really good whenever you are pressing on the brake. It doesn't feel as responsive. It kind of takes a little bit of pressing into the brake to actually let it stop. No, this one's actually feeling a lot better. Now we're going to turn it back over here to South Dixie. We're going to do one more loop around, and then we're going to finish off this video. But like I said, the suspension feels really good. Also, seeing out the sides of these windows, now although it is a sedan and stuff like that, you would think that it would not have really good visibility out the sides, and it actually does. The rear is a little bit, not as good, because the fact that it's tapering off. It's almost like a coupe-ified version of a sedan, but nonetheless, out the sides it looks really good. I can see perfectly out the rear, and I'm very impressed. The greenhouse feels good. Now I have tinted windows, of course, vehicles over here, and especially in Florida, it's always good to have tinted windows. We're going to put it back into normal, and we're going to take it back down this road off to the side. As for the powertrain wise, what do I feel? Well, 147 horsepower I think is sufficient, especially in a state like Florida where we don't really have any hills. The only time that you ever see hills is when you're literally going through the panhandle into, I believe, Alabama or any of the other states. Actually, that's the only time they actually get into those hilly sections, but it's actually pretty good. 132 pound-feet of torque. Now actually, in the Honda Civic for 2025 reduced the horsepower and reduced the torque as they added in a new engine to kind of mitigate having the hybrid powertrain in there, and so it kind of, now both of them kind of compete head on head, but it's still impressive. I still feel like this feels a lot better dynamic wise, and the suspension wise feels good. The suspension in the Civic feels really great as well. I don't think it's anything to write off on, but this feels really good, especially for a vehicle that starts at 25, well, not even at 25. I think it starts around like $21,000. This one equipped with the EX trim is $25,000. I think it's $25,320 if I'm not mistaken. So it's quite impressive for a vehicle in this class and what it has to offer. You get all these safety sense straight off the bat. You get blind spot detection and everything like that, and you get these large touchscreen displays and digital gauge cluster. One thing that the Civic lacks on is the fact that on even the top trims you get a 9-inch touchscreen display. That's, for me, in 2024, we're about to go into 2025, it's just not enough screen size. I think it's ridiculous, and I like the way they designed this design with the displays being housed together rather than being separate, which in my opinion it looks better as you look at it, and it's very high quality. It looks like it's running 60 frames per second, 4K or even 1080p depending, or 1440p I should say. And yeah, it just looks really good. It feels really good. The driving dynamics feel impressive. So with that being said, let's go head back to the dealership and let's end this video. All right, so now that we're up here in the second floor, let's go ahead and shut off the vehicle and let's get out to the exterior and talk about my final impressions of the K4. Now, how do I feel about the K4 all in all? So the design of it looks really good. Even on this EX trim, looks fantastic. I love the fact that we get full LED headlights, we get full LED DRLs that have that amber effect, which is something that Kia kind of started with, and a lot of other competition has started to implement that into their vehicles, and it just looks really good with that amber effect. The front end design looks very aggressive. You know it's a Kia when it's coming straight at you on the opposite end of the road. And just the overall design, I love the design where we don't even have a body line over here. We just have a nice bubbly effect to it, and especially this rear area. Now this rear area kind of gives the impression, just like what they did with the K5, of a, you know, lift back design. And you know, at the end of the day, when you open up the trunk, it's just a regular sedan, and it's quite impressive how they hide it so well that it is a, you know, that it's not a lift back. Overall, it feels really good. The design of the interior is really nice with the, you know, seats, with these cloth seats that we have here and the green sage color. The steering wheel looks fantastic. Both those 12.3 inch screens that we have there are far better than what you find in the competition, especially when it comes to, you know, Honda or even Toyota. So I'm just very impressed, and rear space at the end of the day is really good, you know, class leading. Like I said, you have the child anchor points back there at the rear. What's there to say? I mean, some people might want to get this, you know, a younger family, or maybe people who are starting off a family. Instead of buying a Seltos, maybe they want to end up buying a sedan to get in and out of the car easier. Maybe they're not a huge fan of getting up into a car. So this is what Kia has to offer. At the end of the day, it is a really good car, and for the price, $25,000, with the amount of stuff that you get in this vehicle and how expensive cars have gotten over time, year over year over year, this is something that, you know, you need to think about. Do you want to spend, you know, $35,000 to $38,000 on a Corolla, or maybe you know, a Civic with the hybrid engine? Think about that for a second. This vehicle just gives you so much stuff for a great value. With that being said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.